Welcome to this James the Bike Guy. Today we get to look at a nice lightweight aluminum hybrid bike. A bike that's designed around being able to be fast and fun, but also versatile and capable for the rider that needs one bike to meld it all together. So in this video, we're taking a look at the 2022 Trek FX3. This is in their fitness style hybrid lineup, and we're going to go into the features and designs of this bike. We'll talk about how it stacks up compared to the other Trek hybrids, and then of course we'll find out exactly what it weighs. So if this kind of thing is interesting to you, go ahead and hit subscribe and stick with me so we can check out this bike together. To kick this video off, let's talk about where this Trek FX falls in Trek's lineup. So a hybrid, first off, is a mixture of multiple types of bikes. Think about all the different hybrids that are out on the market as different stews where they're kind of mixing in other elements to get the bike that they're looking for. And this version, this being a Trek FX, means that this bike is a fitness style hybrid. And what typically entails there is that you end up with 700C wheels, a thin enough tire that it's nice and fast, but still wide enough that it's okay on loose stuff like the gravel behind us here. And then they combine in a flat style handlebar, much like a mountain bike, and a position to the bike where the handlebars are upright enough that it's comfortable and that you can be on the bike for a long ride or even just a casual one. And that's where this bike comes in. So this being an FX series really mixtures, say, their aluminum Domane series with a Marlin or something a little more capable upright with a flat handlebar. Now in Trek's lineup, they also have their Dual Sport series, which is a little more off-road focused with a front suspension fork and slightly more upright geometry. And then they also have their Verve series, which is mostly road focused, but it comes with fatter tires and a very upright position. And so here, this bike being the FX3, this is the third level in Trek's FX series of that fitness style hybrid. And they go from an FX1 at the lowest price point all the way up to an FX Sport 6, which is a carbon fiber super bike with a flat handlebar. And diving into the frame of this FX3, it's the Gold Alpha aluminum. This is a high level of aluminum from Trek, and it's going to sport some really cool frame features and tech to be able to make this a nice rig for that fitness style hybrid. So you could commute on it, you could go on a bike path and go fast, use this with your kids, and then train for your first, bike ride or something like that all together. And so this Alpha Gold aluminum runs internal cable routing. Everything kind of comes in down through the side of the bike. And that's helpful because, as you can see, it both gives it a pretty clean look to the bike, but it also allows, when you're putting it up on a car rack, the ones that strap around the top tube, that's still going to be easy. Also, locking it up to a bike rack is going to be simple with no cables to get caught. You're going to then have a threaded bottom bracket, which is a nice and durable way to have your crank set attached onto the bike. In the chainstay, you have a spot to be able to add a Bluetooth sensor to pick up speed of the wheel and cadence of the pedals. And then in the back, it's a quick release on and off for the wheels. And then you've got mounts for fenders and racks. So the back of the bike can have a rack mounted on there, a child seat, something to carry your stuff to work, all of that added. And then they also have a mount down here for your cafe style lock. That's a nice feature because if you're just stopping for a coffee, you can click a little lock around the wheel and then the bike just won't roll off on you. Speaking of rolling off, is a bolt-on clamp for the seat post. Again, a nice security feature. And also on most adult bikes, once you set your saddle height, there's no real reason to change. And up front, the front end is going to go through this 1.1" head tube down to a carbon fiber fork. Now, the reason they do a carbon fork up here is essentially twofold. First would be it helps save some weight, does a good job at that, but it also is going to help dampen vibrations. And so this carbon fork does look pretty gorgeous, and it rocks something called a through skew. What that essentially is a captured through axle, where on one side it's captured, and on the other side you kind of just lift this open, spin it, and the wheel comes out. Makes taking the wheel on and off quite a bit easier, as well as it adds a touch of additional rigidity. The last few features to talk about here are, of course, going to be your water bottle mounts. You've got two mounts on this bike, on the down tube and the seat tube, and then everything just melds together into a nice lightweight aluminum setup with that carbon fiber fork. Now, hopefully you're enjoying the video so far, and if you are, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, as well as check out my Instagram. It's James the Bike Guy, one word, on Instagram. So let's connect up there and finish up with looking at this bike. The cockpit of an FX3 is designed around being more comfortable for this fitness style hybrid rider. So aluminum stem, 1.125" onto the steer tube, and then 31.8 millimeter bar clamp. For those of us that aren't geeky, that's the modern diameter, which is nice to see. Then with an aluminum handlebar that rocks ISO speed grips. Essentially here you've got a V shape into the aluminum bar, and this white gel that's on the top, that's going to be the spot that's going to help dampen some vibrations. So when your hand comes in, you've got a nice spot to rest your hand, but also some nice cushioning. Shifting is thumb button, index finger, and you'll see in a moment when we check out the gears, there's no shifting to be done on the left side. It's all on the right to make it a little more simple. In back is a fitness style saddle with a little bit of cushion to it, and then it's mounted up on a 27.2 aluminum seat post with a 2-bolt clamp, which makes it really easy to set the saddle in the right position for comfort. And diving into the componentry, this being the FX3, this means it's going to come with some mid-level components. So here, starting off, let's talk about the drivetrain. So this is a 1x10 speed setup. Essentially what that means is we've got a single gear up front. It's mounted up on this alloy crankset, and then as we go out back, it's a Shimano Deore rear derailleur operating an 11 to 46 tooth rear cassette. So that means the whole gear range of the bike is done in the back. You've got this really big gear range, and it means that through those 10 speeds, you don't have to worry about shifting the front, which also allows the bike to be a bit more reliable, no drop chains, things like that you may have been used to on an older bike. The brakes will then be hydraulic from Shimano. These are a mineral oil brake, right side being the rear, left side being the front, at least here in the US. And down at the rotors will be a 160 millimeter diameter rotor with a flat mount caliper with 2-piston hydraulic system. All of this is to say that it's a nice durable setup to be able to get some good braking on your bike. So if you're going faster or you're carrying a rack with some gear on it, it's going to help slow the rig down. And last piece of the components are, of course, the Bontrager approved rims. These are an aluminum double-walled rim with 32 spokes going to a J-bend quick release hub in the front and the rear, and they're wrapped up via some Bontrager H2 tires. This H2 tire is on the more durable side, but it's also a little heavier and not as fast rolling as it could be. This might be a place after you have the bike that you could upgrade, but these are in a size 700 by 32 millimeter, and the bike with fenders can rock up to a 35 millimeter width tire or 38 millimeters with fenders off. And so anyways, it's now time to find out exactly what this bike weighs. The actual weight of the Trek FX3 in a size large comes in at 25.72 pounds. Thank you for joining me to check out this 2022 Trek FX3. This is a pretty neat rig with a one-by system up front, the aluminum frame, and the ability to be a one bike to do it all. So I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comment section below. While you're at it, be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed what you saw, and definitely browse the channel to check out more videos like this to see as well.